Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm assuming everybody's getting on board now. And welcome to our Leadership Institute panel discussion. I'm Adrian Cropley. I'm a past chair of IABC, current fellow within IABC and long-term member. It's great to have you all here. I was reflecting how much I enjoyed Leadership Institute and meeting leaders from right around the world. And today, you've got three amazingly talented leaders and people that are running some great initiatives within IABC, taking you through today's discussion, which is all about our professional development and certainly our certification and also our gold quill. So today you're going to hear through three, as I said, top talented IABC members. Firstly, in Sia Papageorgiou, who is from Melbourne, Australia. And Sia is the incoming chair of the GCCC. So she'll be talking about global certification, which is something I would encourage everybody to attain, and also how you can incorporate that into your chapters. And I'll talk a little bit more about Sia in a moment. You'll also be hearing from Patrick Armstrong, who is our current chair of the IABC Academy. I'm very excited to hear Patrick talk about the Academy. This is an initiative we started back in my term, which is in 2012, and it took us a couple of years to get the Academy up and running, and it's certainly in good hands with Patrick. And also one of the darlings of IABC, Ritzi Villarico-Ronquillo from the Philippines, and also IABC Fellow, and this year's Gold Quill Chair. So you'll be hearing from all three. We're going to kick off with Sia. We're going to have about 12 minutes from each of our presenters, and then we're going to go into a question session. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, looking for the questions, and we'll have a bit of a discussion, which is what LI is all about. So thanks again for joining us. Let me introduce Sia Papageorgiou, as I said, from Melbourne, Australia. Sia is a past chapter president with IABC Victoria, also sat on the regional board and has served on a couple of international committees, including now the GCCC, which is, we're very excited to have her in that role. So Sia, I'm not going to go right into it so I don't cut into your 12 minutes of time, but I'm going to hand over to you now, and thank you very much for taking us through global certification.
Thank you, Adrian, and hi, everybody. So today I want to give you an overview of our certification program through the Global Communication Certification Council, or GCCC. I also want to give you some ideas about how you can market and promote the certification program to your members and to your prospective members. And then I want to finish on how to host an exam in your local chapter. So let's have a look at the two certifications that are available through the GCCC. The first is the Communication Management Professional, or CMP. And to be eligible to sit the CMP exam, you need to demonstrate at least 8 years of experience and 40 hours of training, or 6 years of experience, 2 years of education, and 40 hours of training. Now, the point I want to make about the education is it doesn't have to be in communication. The training, however, does. Now, there's lots of information available on the GCCC's website. We have a very comprehensive candidate handbook. I think it's something like 45 or 55 pages, and that includes lots of information about what constitutes training. So that would include things that you attend, like conferences and seminars and webinars and things like that are either run in-house in your organisation or externally run through IABC or another professional association. The second certification available through the GCCC is the Strategic Communication Management Professional, or the SCMP, and that is for more senior communication professionals who are practiced in providing strategic advice and counselling to their organisation's leadership. To be eligible to sit the SCMP exam, you need to demonstrate at least 11 years of experience plus 20 hours of training. And the additional requirement there is to provide a letter of recommendation from either a mentee or an organisation for which you've done pro bono work. Now, if you're an IABC chapter leader, serving on an IABC board or in an international committee or a local committee absolutely counts towards that. If you're a consultant, you can include pro bono work that you've done with maybe NFPs and that type of thing. So that's they're the two certifications. Let's have a look at what the exam experience looks like. So for the CMP and the SCMP, you have 3 hours to complete the exam. Now, I can tell you from experience, 3 hours to answer 100 multiple choice questions is absolutely doable. For example, I finished in 2 hours. I think somebody, when I sat, they finished in less than 2 hours. But again, totally up to the individual, but you have 3 hours to complete the exam, 100 multiple choice questions. And these figures along the bottom of my slide change constantly. But the last time I checked, there was a 66% pass rate on the CMP exam and an 88% pass rate on the SCMP exam. Right now, there are 257 certified individuals around the world, 136 CMPs and 121 SCMPs. So, and those numbers are growing continually. We have an exam scheduled in Melbourne, Australia on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to congratulating those people as well. So let's have a look at what you're measured against. For the CMP, you're measured against these 5 domains. And as I mentioned earlier, there are 100 questions on each of the exams. So we know that there'll be 20 questions on measurement, for example, 7 questions on ethics, 21 on research and analysis, and so on and so forth. For the SCMP, you are measured against 6 domains. Again, 100 questions, so 23 on advising and leading, 18 on reputation management, and so on. Now, I don't have time to go into this today, but if you want to know exactly what is included in each of those domains and the types of knowledge and skills that you're expected to have to be able to pass the exam, the GCCC has developed a very comprehensive job task analysis for each of those certifications that is available under the resource section on the GCCC's website. And you can have a look at that, and that includes all the information there. So you can go back and have a look at what you're expected to know, the types of behaviours that you're expected to demonstrate, and the knowledge you're expected to have. Okay, if you pass the exam, you don't actually get a score, you just get notification that you've passed. You get a lovely certificate that you can frame, upload to LinkedIn. You get to put the post nominals against your name, and you are also published on the GCCC's website. If you fail the exam, you'll get a breakdown by domain. So you won't actually be told what you got wrong, but you will be given an overall score in each of those domains. In terms of what it costs to apply and sit the certification exam, IABC members will pay a total of US $500. So that's $100 to apply and $400 to register for the exam. Non-members pay $800 US. So it absolutely pays to be a member. And that's one of the messages we should be sharing with prospective members. Your membership pays for itself. If you're interested in sitting the certification exam, become a member, and you've already saved that money right there. And you can also encourage your members and your prospective members to get their employers to pay for their certification if they have budget for professional development. And that's something that many do. And one of the things we're working on at the GCCC in collaboration with IABC staff is a comprehensive, say, certification in a box type of resource. It's currently in development. And one of those things is a template that people can use to then share with their employers and ask them to pay for the certification, because there's absolutely something in it for them. The research has shown that people who have access to ongoing professional development are 15% more engaged and perform 20% better. So, I mean, in this global race for talent, which employer doesn't want that, okay? I just want to make a point now about ongoing professional development. So once you're certified, you need to maintain it. Certification is based on lifelong learning, okay? And if we've learned anything during this very challenging year, during this coronavirus pandemic, is that the communication landscape is dynamic and it changes rapidly. So we absolutely have to continue to sharpen our practice if we are going to maintain our relevance, okay? So we need to maintain our certification, which means we need to earn 40 professional development points per year, which again, from experience, I can tell you is absolutely doable to maintain your certification. Now, the GCCC's handbook that I mentioned earlier has a very comprehensive list about what will earn you ongoing professional development points, but things like attending conferences, attending seminars, presenting at seminars, reading communication management manuals and books and articles and things like that. So you absolutely need to maintain it, and you need to apply to renew your, make it that application and pay the $100 annual maintenance fee that I mentioned earlier. So have a look at the handbook for more information about training requirements plus ongoing professional development. There's a plethora of information in that handbook. So now I want to talk to you about how to market and promote certification in your chapters. And what we want to be doing is creating a sense of belonging, okay? Our messages should inspire people to want to join a global network of credible and trusted and expert communication professionals. And one way we do that is by telling stories, okay, about others who have gained their certification, because people want to hear about others that are just like them. This is Christine, and she's based in Melbourne, Australia. We sit on the IABC Victoria board together. But the first key message I want to share with you is about value, okay? Certification really is a way to stand out from the crowd. If you want to elevate your value and visibility, then you need to get certified. And there's something in it for the employer as well. Certified individuals elevate the value and effectiveness of the organisation's communication function, which then leads to better business results. Okay, so it's a win-win situation. The next slide will show you, this is Elvira Maki from Indonesia. And if we've learned anything this year, it's that it's no longer good enough to just know communication, okay? Consistent standards and an ongoing focus on professional development ensures we stay relevant. And it's external validation that you have the communication skills you need to succeed in your communication career. The next slide page. This is Genevieve Hilton from Hong Kong. And so the next key message I want to share with you is around a competitive advantage. Certification gives you a competitive advantage. All the research that we've collected and share through the Leader Centre says that you're 3 times more likely to get shortlisted by a recruiter if you have a certification. More than 50% of certified professionals are promoted within the first 6 months, and they're almost twice as likely to receive regular pay rises, okay? One of the best stories I've heard, and it's available on the GCCC's website, is from Noelle Freeman from IABC Tulsa. And she shared her story about getting certified and why she got certified. And once she updated her LinkedIn profile to reflect the fact that she gained her SCMP certification, she was contacted by 2 recruiters about 3 different positions they thought she'd be a good match for. And she strongly believes that it was her certification that made her stand out from the crowd. Next slide. Oh, and here's Adrian. The next message I want to share is that GCCC certification carries the same meaning and weight wherever you go in the world. And this one is a really, really important message. Okay, our certification program through the GCCC is the only professional certification, communication certification program developed to conform to ISO standards. In this case, ISO 17024, which is the standard for certifying individuals. Okay, you would have heard in August this year, we achieved ISO accreditation through ANSI in the US on the CMP certification. And right now we're in the midst of applying for accreditation on the SCMP. Hopefully it won't take us as long as it did for the CMP. But no other communication association can make that claim about their certification program, okay? So the idea about appealing to a global job market is going to make our members and our prospective members stand out, okay? And it also makes IABC and the GCCC stand out. And finally, this is Murray Barton. She's also from Melbourne. And the final message I want to share is about the global standard of the communication profession, okay? GCCC certification is based on the global standard. That's a common body of business communication knowledge that inspires the way we think, feel, and act as communication professionals, okay? So getting certified demonstrates to your clients, to your leaders, to your employers, to your peers, that you have professional competence in these 6 areas: ethics, creating a strategy, following a strategy, conducting analysis to support your work, providing context about the organisation's internal culture and external environment, engaging with audiences and stakeholders, and a really, really important one that we have become intimately familiar this year with is providing a consistent story to internal and external audiences. So all of these key messages are available, or most of them anyway, on the Leader Centre. There is a comprehensive key message guide that I have. It's 16 pages. I use it all the time. I have it printed out at my desk, and it's a wonderful resource. So please download that and use that. And finally, I just want to talk to you quickly about how to host a certification exam. We can go further into this in the Q&A because I think I'm running out of time. But it's a wonderful experience to host an exam. It's really easy to do. Everything's done online. Sarah Fowdy from the GCCC, the font of all knowledge on certification, is a wonderful human being and very responsive. You can submit your application online. Try and factor this into your annual planning. For example, here in IABC Victoria, we have a professional development chair, and we have earmarked September of every year as certification month. Didn't quite work out that way this year because of coronavirus, but usually we have a certification exam every September. About a month and a half before that, we host an information session where we share resources and more information. But if anyone on the line or anyone who listens to the recording after today wants more information about the GCCC or any aspect of hosting an exam, please get in touch. I'd love to have a chat with you. Alternatively, please jump on the website and have a look. There's lots of information there. How'd I do? 1 minute over, 2 minutes over.
Excellent. Well done, Sia. You got that one in there. And for those of you that are now starting to get familiar with some very different accents here, you realise that I've just realised everybody that's on the panel is from the Asia Pacific region. So I'm sure you'll be able to work it out by the end of it. And the next speaker will, is also going to have that Aussie accent that Sia had. But thank you, Sia, and it ties nicely into the next part of this presentation, because in gaining your certification, it really is all about the training and development to get you there. And I remember talking many years ago why that was so important to integrate this journey towards certification and the journey past certification, where you can then get ongoing training and development credits, as Sia talked about. So let me introduce Patrick Armstrong. Patrick is a past chapter leader for IABC New South Wales and currently is a treasurer. So Patrick takes on all the good jobs in the chapter, but including heading up the IABC Academy, and he's this year's current chair of the Academy. Patrick, it's great to have you on board and taking us through the IABC Academy and its offerings.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Evan. Really, really great to be here. Yes, as I said, I'm the chair of the Academy. Thank you, Sia, for your great presentation. I was very, very pleased to have hosted an exam just last weekend, in fact, here in Sydney. And we now have 5 new SCMPs and CMPs in our region. So that was wonderful, wonderful to see. So look, I want to talk to you today through the Academy and some of our offerings. So really, what is the IABC Academy? And it's the learning and development offering for the IABC. It's really about providing professional development for business communicators. And it's really versatile to your needs. So there's lots of things that we're going to go through a little while, what that really looks like. But really, it's available to both our members and our non-members. And it's really about helping you to advance your career, really stay ahead of industry best practices, ongoing lifelong learning, and really sort of generating real business results for organizations. So I'm going to talk you through some of those things right now as to what the Academy actually offering is. And how it actually ties in with the GCCC as well, and how it's actually going to help you contribute towards the learning and development needs that you have. So what are the course categories? And these are really around the following course categories are research and analysis, strategy and engagement, consistency and strategic implementation, measurement, advising and leading, management, and special topics and trends. And what I'm going to show you in a moment is really how these are the really kind of big strategic things that we need to know as communicators, and how this ties in with our mapping towards how to get accreditation for SCMP and CMP and some of the courses that you need to do around these various domains that are going to help assist you with sitting that exam as well as your ongoing learning in a broader sense, not just around sitting the exam. So how is the learning delivered? And really it's led by global experts and industry leaders. So what we do is we put out a call to people out in our community, so our IABC community as well as more broadly, and they prepare the training for you. So essentially what our real point of difference is with the Academy is there's actually led by communicators for communicators. And I think that's a really important differentiator that we have as an Academy. Number of different ways that the training is delivered. So really it's around, there's web recordings, there's handouts, there's other course material, and all resources are the exclusive use of your purchase. So once you purchase it, it belongs to you. It's self-paced and it's asynchronous, online and interactive. So there are a number of different ways that you can consume the courses. So you can basically, once you purchase the course, you can do it over a period of time, whatever suits you. There are various modules that are involved. There's different kind of handouts. There's different kind of formats that the training comes in. Generally, it's a webinar, pre-recorded webinar formats. But again, in the interest of constantly evolving our offering, we're actually looking at whether that's probably the most effective means, whether we can do things differently, and so on. Basically, the real benefit is that once you purchase the course, you can do it at your own leisure, in your own time, knowing that we're very, very busy people, and you have a long period of time in which to complete the course after you purchase it as well. So the Global Communication Certification Program. So really, and I won't go too much into this because Sia just did a really great job of doing that, but really what the real key message here is that it's the learning and development that you do through the Academy actually is a really great opportunity for you to build the training and development that you need to sit the exam. And it's very important to note that the exam and the Academy, so the GCCC and the IABC Academy are separate. The GCCC is a separate organisation to the IABC to ensure it's impartial and it's fair. So I guess the key message here is that, passing these courses don't necessarily mean that you're going to pass the exam, nor are the specific learning in the programs on the Academy specifically linked to questions on the exam. But what it will actually do is actually help you with the overall learning that you need across the domains that I showed you earlier. And in a couple of slides, I'm going to show you some of those learning domains and how some of the courses that we have actually link to those domains that are in the GCCC exam as well. So what it's really going to do is really help you meet those minimum requirements. So as Sia said, there's a number of different requirements for SCMP and CMP. Doing these courses is going to really help you contribute towards getting the learning development that you do need. And again, Sia did go into this slide here. This is really around what you need to do. So for CMP, you need 40 hours of training, which is quite a lot. And a lot of that would be, if you go to the World Conference, for example, that could potentially go towards it. But also these courses will actually help you get those 40 hours up, which is quite a lot of time. And they're really good courses to help you, as I said, with your overall learning and development. The strategic management, the SCMP, which I'm fortunate enough to have sat and passed myself. There's 11 years of experience and 20 hours of training. So some of these courses are over a number of hours. So there's a really great way to some courses where you can actually get 2 or 3 hours worth of training and development through the one particular course. So really good opportunity for the Academy to be able to not only fulfill your own learning, but also really contribute to sitting and qualifying for those the GCCC exam. So this is a really interesting slide that I really want to start showing you here. And this is what we've started to do in the Academy, is to start mapping some of our courses to some of those domains. And this is actually going to be part of a wider piece of work that we're actually looking at doing with the Academy and as a strategic element of the IABC more broadly, is setting sort of career pathways for people. So what does it mean to be at a CMP level? What are the kind of skills that you need to develop in order to move into the SCMP level as well? So what we've started doing is that we're mapping some of the courses that we currently have to some of the domains. And this is still a work in development, and we've gone through this quite recently. And actually what we're doing at the moment is that we're doing a complete audit of all of our courses as part of the committee's remits. That means we're looking at them all. We've set some rigorous criteria. We're getting 2 people within the steering committee to look at each of the courses, seeing whether they meet our minimum requirements or what is required for our standards as a quality offering for our members and our non-members. And so we're looking at all the courses and how they fit into these domains. So what you can really look at when we complete this piece of work is, if I want to sit for a CMP level course, here's the knowledge that I need to have, and here's some of the courses that are really going to help me in that process. So for example, just looking at the left-hand column, communication research and analysis, we've got in there, practical ways to build research into employee communication, and then research made easy, the critical data for need for communicating success. So going into those, the data analytics and things like that, that really important stuff that people at that level really need to understand. Then going more into the communication strategy and engagement, so looking at things like audit and take it to the next level from tactical to strategic communication. Really important part of that career mapping, as I said, in order to go from that SCMP to the CMP to that SCMP level. So a really important part of what we're doing is really making sure people are clear on that. And again, with the SCMP here as well, same thing that we're doing here. It's going more into those strategic elements that the exam that you would sit for that would need to do. So it's more down that advising and leading, management, strategy development, innovation, reputation management, those really high-level strategic things that we're looking at doing. And we're looking at a number of different courses in this space as well. So for example, what are some of the hot topics that people in this space might want to know about? So do they want to learn more around, reputation, brand management, or even a design thinking for leaders and things like that? So really coming up with some of the great things that are happening more in the industry more broadly, and coming up with an offering that's going to really help people look at things in this space as well. So you can see from here, we've got some really great domains and some really great sort of mapping, which I think will really help you, as well as when we complete this piece of work, this will help you a lot within your regions and your chapters to be able to kind of communicate more broadly to your members the kind of things that they need to do in order to achieve the various CMP and SCMP level courses. And this is certainly something, having just seen people in my chapter go through this process, and they were really great. They formed a study group and things like that. There was 8 of them actually who sat the exam just last week. And if they had something like this would really have helped them a lot to be able to sort of know the kind of things they need to study and the kind of things they need to pick up. So this is a piece of work that's currently in development, but certainly something which we're looking at rolling out next year. And when we do that, it's going to help you more broadly to help position this within your chapters, and particularly if we're trying to promote people doing the certification as well. So rates and offers. So how much does it cost? So IABC members receive a discounted rate on courses, which is great. Always a benefit to be a member. Most courses are around about $99 to $295 for members, and $134 to $395 for non-members. And there's also bundles you can do as well. So it's a really great way, again, of positioning that with your members and how to bundle it together. And there's also the all access passes as well. So the all access pass is an opportunity for it, and it's individual based. But what that means is you can have access as an IABC member for $999 US, access to pretty much the whole suite of courses over the course of 12 months. It's a really, really good offer, and certainly something which you could look at promoting, particularly those looking at doing the certification, that there's a really good opportunity, which is relatively cheap. And look how much it would cost them all up. It would cost them more like $5,700 ordinarily to do something like that. So again, a really good takeaway for you is the fact that the courses are quite affordable, as well as the idea that there is actually the all access pass, particularly for those who might want to pick up their learning and development to sit the exam. There are some free courses that we've got as well. So anyone who's sat on the Gold Quill evaluation training, so that'd be, again, I'd love to do that one day myself. I think it'd be a fascinating experience to do that. And I've certainly seen people who have done it who have got a lot out of that. And there is a couple of free courses on there so that we're offering for things like that are really kind of adding value to the organization. So those that want to ever consider that, know that there is free training available to be able to be an accreditor for the Gold Quills. And again, we're always wanting people. So if you're interested, if you ever want to be a teacher, you've got a yearning to be an instructor, we'd love to hear from you. We have got a pool of people that we're using already. But if this is something which you really love to do, there is an opportunity to talk to us and pitch ideas to us. There is some compensation in that. I'll say it's not a lot, but there is some kind of remuneration involved in that process. So if you really are interested in being an instructor, we'd love to hear from you. You're a font of knowledge across the IABC network and lots of really great things. And you saw earlier on some of the areas that we're going down the road of that we'd like to develop more. So as I said, we're doing a major audit of all our courses at the moment. And some of those we may decide to archive, maybe they're outdated. So there will be a big opportunity in 2021 to potentially fill some of the gaps for some of the courses that we may decide to not pursue with anymore. So big message to you out there is to keep in mind, we'd love to hear from you if you would like to be an instructor. So some testimonials. So look, again, we really rely on the testimonials, and we really rely on people to give us that feedback. And again, that's certainly part of our review process that we're doing at the moment. What are the courses that people are really enjoying? So you can see some of these quotes here. This is the must-do course for anyone as a communication professional. Provides really useful frameworks for enabling us to be successful when we plan. So this course provides the most thoughtful, thorough, rationalized roadmap, for corporate communications leadership. So again, just looking at those testimonials, it's a really great opportunity for you and your people in your chapters to really, develop their chops as communicators across the various domains. Again, the leading through change as well, really good, solid information for our info, a must do for any modern professional, and things like that. So some really good feedback. There is some negative feedback too, which we're looking at for some courses, particularly if courses aren't meeting technical requirements and things like that. Certainly learning and development has changed a lot. I'm an academic on the side as well, and I've personally moved to online learning for a lot of my courses. So I teach people all around the world now, from China to India to the US to whatever in the classes. And so the expectation of online learning in the course of COVID has lifted exponentially. So we need to start looking at some of our courses in context of that as well, and making sure that we're offering a really high quality offering. So key takeaways for your chapters. So really the IABC Academy is available to members and non-members. Very important thing for you to understand. If you are a member, you have got that slight advantage of the reduced costs. So it's versatile online learning to suit all different needs. So as I said, it's asynchronous. So you can basically get it. You can do different types of learning within there. There's some that's going to be instructor-led. There's going to be some that's takeaway. There's going to be some that are webinars. So different kind of people learning in different kind of ways. And there's a lot of versatility in terms of how it's presented to you as well. Really great value add for our members to keep abreast of industry trends and best practice. I think that's a really important takeaway for you to take to your chapters as well. Really important one is it supports the GCCC certification, as well as an opportunity to develop learning requirements for your application as well. Again, just stressing, bearing in mind that the courses don't specifically link to GCCC certification questions, but they do help your overall learning. Another really strong point for a selling point to our chapters is discounts for IABC members. It's instructor-led. And what I really think is so good about us is that we are, as I said earlier in my presentation, we're teaching by communicators for communicators. So we really understand the market that we're doing. This isn't just off-the-shelf stuff that someone's come up with. It's something that someone has seen a pain point within the communications professionals toolkit and decided to present something to them to help fill that gap. There are discounts for IABC members. The annual passes are available, like I said. We're launching some new courses in 2021. So once we complete that audit, we're really excited to be launching a whole new number of different courses throughout the course of 2021. Once we look at what our gaps are after that audit, go into the Academy website, visit it and have a look around. And any general questions, there's a website here for you to look at, or an email address. And the big takeaway is really get involved and spread the word. Tell everyone about the Academy, what we're offering, and our point of difference, and why it's important for IABC members and non-members.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Patrick. It was great to make that connection between certification and the academy. And I have to say, as the inaugural academy chair, I feel like the child has grown up now. It is really looking solid and a great resource for chapters to be able to promote the courses that are there and tie it back into that whole journey to certification. And I just realized when you said you had done your SCMP, I realized that Sia and I did our SCMP together, and I must admit we walked out of that session and went, gee, that was a lot of fun, as well as, you know, that nerve-wracking before you went into it. But this is just a great way of preparing to sit that certification. So thank you for that, Patrick. And so next, and you can now tell the theme of why we've got these three topics together, and I'll make the link for you in a moment, but I'm just going to remind you, if you've got any questions, can you post them up into chat, because we'll be taking questions after Ritzi's presentation. But we're now going to launch into Gold Quill, and this is really important because training and development is about setting the standard for the knowledge that we have, and certification is about the standard as an individual. With Gold Quill, it's really about meeting that standard in the work that we do. So I'm really pleased to introduce Ritzi Ronquillo. As I said, she is the queen of IABC, and is just one of the nicest people that you'll meet. But she is such an influencer in the market within the Philippines and on the international front for many years, and now is our Gold Quill chair, and she brings with her a ton of experience. So please welcome Ritzi, and she'll present to us on Gold Quill.
Thank you very much, Adrian, and to Sia and Patrick. It's really a pleasure to be presenting together with you today, as well as thank you to the staff and Michaela for putting this together. Well, when we were asked, how can we make all these wonderful programs part of the natural DNA of every region and every chapter? So I thought, how really can we make this part of our respective worlds? So we are in different parts of the world, but yet there are certain things that tie us together. And one of them is the Gold Quill, because it's not only something we receive and like to say we have, but it's something that celebrates. It documents, and it can be a legacy for those of us who work so hard to be excellent in what we do. So very happy to say that IABC Gold Quill has been around for more than 40 years, more than 4 decades. And so it's got a lot of work. It's got a lot of excellent and exceptional work from all over the world. And so since 2008, we've had, this is just a count from 2008. It doesn't even count all the rest that come after. So we have nearly, maybe 10,000 projects and even more and counting that we do. Next. So I always believe that some things change, some things do not. And the things that do not change with the Gold Quill that has been around for so long is that it's a very strong symbol and something we have that says we have a strength in our being IABC. We have a strength that is in a brand and advocacy that is so strong that has resonated across the world for the past years. We have an excellent standard. We have the global standards of excellence and rubrics that are byproducts of the best minds, the best communication minds through the years. Every year, these are revisited and reviewed to see, should we be doing more? Is there another aspect of communication that has surfaced that we must think about and input in this? And of course, we have the integrity that I'm very, very proud of, because I guess the excellence and the recognition and the fulfillment that comes with winning an award is only so much if there is integrity. In fact, I often say communication excellence is not excellence unless there is integrity. So apples to apples across diversity, way before diversity and inclusion became part of our way of life today. We already have been celebrating it because we made sure that no matter from which country, from which culture, from which clime, every entry we receive is always looked at as an apples to apples, precisely because our standards and rubrics make it so, precisely because the integrity of the process is that the evaluators are well chosen, are well qualified, and for every time before you receive entries that have to be scored, you have to train, refresh, just to make sure you're calibrated, you're on the same wavelength, and that the mindset of not only celebrating success and good work, but also helping peers and colleagues grow and further develop in our profession. So there is continuous growth and learning. And that, I think, that's quite summarizes that the gold quill is here today when you receive it, when you actually, it's in the past what you did, it's today because it's what you receive for the good work, and it's down the road for how more you will grow because you have gotten involved in the Gold Quill Awards. Next. Now, this one is another constant. And again, these are things that will not change because this, in fact, defines our DNA as a communicator. I just like having acronyms because they make it easier to remember. So I just put it as an ACE, but you may want to make it CASE. It's up to you, as long as these are constants in what we do in IABC. Next. Now, the spirit behind our awards. I think this is so important. This is, for me, life beyond putting that trophy up on your cabinet or up in your office to show. I think the spirit behind our awards is that, yes, we recognize communication excellence because we are sure, it is certain, because we have good standards, rubrics, and guidelines. And every year, the awards committee reviews, listens to on the ground, and feels the pulse, and sees the standards, looks at the environment, and makes sure it is relevant and it is viable for all of us. But far more important than this is the growth that comes by being part of it. So whether you are a student or you're a professional, and I say this because I used to teach too, and students are the next gen. And today, they're probably just learning from us, but tomorrow, they will be the CEOs. Tomorrow, they will decide, I want to enter the Gold Quill. I want to be part of IABC because somewhere in their early years, we brought that mindset into them already, and that awareness that there is such a standard and such an org and such an award. Next slide, please. So we have 4 divisions. There's been quite a constant for some years now. However, the Division 2, which is research, and Division 3, training and education, are more recent divisions. In fact, I would recommend that you do search within what you do, whether as a consultant, an agency, or a company or foundation or nonprofit. There's so much that we still have to talk about in terms of research, training, and education, especially today. Management is one of the strongest divisions. We have a lot of different categories in it, and of course, skills. This year, we have 26 categories. And please look at your body of work. If you've started something from January 2018 up to the time you will submit, then that will qualify for entering the Gold Quill. Question, if I make it or if I don't make it, well, actually, for me, not making it is still okay. Why? Because we will give you feedback. We will give you your scores and the very valuable constructive comments of the different evaluators who look at your work. This is our new category. When we began this year, we had to take very honest stock of what was going on in the world. Now, we are comprised of different countries, and we know in different parts of the world, there are different situations. So we said, there are stories there. There are teams and communicators working so hard to make things better where they are. So we said, why not have a new category? And this is it. So you're probably wondering why it's 14B. It's not going to be there forever, we hope, because we hope that COVID-19 is only going to be something that happens maybe this year and next, and then hopefully it disappears forever. So we're just calling it a 14B. And this time, this is where we will accept entries that talk about how did you cope? How did you prepare? What did you do when you had to do a redundancy or a reorganization? So this is a treasure trove of stories in a snapshot, but not just an ordinary epoch, but a time when we all, the whole humanity, had to deal with COVID. So this is where perhaps some of you might even want to enter, because by telling the story, it's going to be some kind of catharsis for you. So this is where we'd like to capture that. Next. So how do you now make the Gold Quill Awards part of your world? Next. I liken it to 4 areas, what I call broad strokes. So one is, let's admit it, excellence is a part of our life. It's a way of life. It should be. And IABC and Gold Quill Awards help make it so. So it's supposed to be there. It's like sustainability. It's not an add-on in a process. It should be. So that's what it is. Next is experience. I speak on this because I myself are a product of the Gold Quill, coming from different roles. So joining and learning in the process in whatever role it is. For example, everyone starts, of course, not knowing what is the Gold Quill. So what you do is you read up on it. Then you enter. So then you make your entry. You become an entrant. And then sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. If you don't, it's still okay. Why? Because immediately you get your feedback. Immediately you get your scores. And then you know how to further improve. If you win, then you're happy. You share the recognition with your company and with your colleagues. Then you may want to get more involved. So then you become an evaluator. You become trained to evaluate and look at everything across the world. Or maybe further, you'd like to now organize. Then you become a blue ribbon panel chair. Then you have multiple people to look into and to guide now and to mentor. Then maybe you may want to be part of the award committee. You'll start out as being a member, then maybe vice chair, and then going on to chair. That was my journey. And I'm just one among the many. And I'm sure all of you have in some way been involved in the Gold Quill. And then this is what I call the excellence thread. Some people say, and let's be practical, I don't have much budget. I can only do this or do that. And I have to justify to my management why this, why that award body. What's the ROI for us? So for me, whenever someone tells me that, I always say, why not go Grand Slam? Join in your national or regional or country Quill Awards, and then try Gold Quill. Why? Because then you see the whole continuum of your efforts. And at every stage, there is a context that you must define for colleagues. For example, at national stage, of course, or regional stage, of course, they understand, but yet you have to explain. When you move up to global, you have to put in the context. It gives you a chance to talk about your country. It gives you a chance to talk about your efforts, your culture, in a context. It's an exegesis that you have to come and make up. So there's this satisfaction if you can go Grand Slam. That's how I tell them. I said, don't just confine yourself to one dimension. Why not go for gold? And of course, beyond the win. That's my favorite, because beyond winning, when you're done, when you put your trophy up on a stand, what happens next? Did it move the needle, as Gold Quill would often say? Did it change your life? Did it improve, say, the socioeconomic situation of a certain community that you serve because your CSR entry won a Gold Quill? So it's beyond that. And it's a total approach to doing good for more through a simple effort, a simple act of joining the Gold Quill. Next. And if we are to go in particular, then why not make it part of annual planning? So it's not something, as I said, that you add on because it's salt at a table. It's table salt you add on to your entree, but it's really supposed to be part of how you plan it. So it's relevant and intrinsic to all that you do in the region or in the chapter. And then it would be good to have someone dedicated to it. So it's up to you how to term it, but someone perhaps in the board has to be a chair of the awards, coordinating within your region or within your chapter, and then reaching out to region, and then reaching out to global. So for example, this year, because I'm the Gold Quill chair, I'm reaching out to as many regions as I can, to all the regions, to BRP chairs, to schools, to academe, to anyone. The more we talk about it, the better it gets embedded in people's mindsets. Okay, next is we adopt its excellence standards and programs. If I may go back, please, yes. We adopt its standards and programs. Whenever we do programs in our chapter, let's always put it against the standard of Gold Quill. Why? Because that's the excellence standard globally. Next is, why not apply the principles in our respective careers? For example, when I taught in the university, for the final exam, when they had to do their final paper, I tell them about, this is the outline you will use. And I put forth the Gold Quill outline. And because I say, in time, you will join us in the profession. I want you to think like this. I'd like you to be used to this kind of an outline. And then I have had students tapping me on the night when we award the Student Quill Awards here in the Philippines. And they say, ma'am, you remember me? I was your student. So I said, oh, why are you here? And she said, I'm receiving a Student Quill Award. And a few years after, they tap me again during the awards night and they say, ma'am, I'm now with this company and I'm here to win an award for my team. So why not apply it in your respective careers and in how you present, say to management, you're going to present to the C-suite. Why not go through the Gold Quill outline? I think it's perfect. Everything is in there. And if your C-suite says, all right, I'd like that program to be entered in the Gold Quill, then all you have to do is tweak it a little bit more and you've got your work plan in place. So for me, it's like, there's no harm in continually talking about it, campaigning and advocating for it. And when someone does something good, no matter how little it is, then I'd say encourage the heart. Track the performance and the participation of the chapter members, of the regional members, and celebrate the victories. One region can come up with a press release or something online that celebrates these people from our region have won. And so it gives that feeling that I am appreciated. And of course, the best is walk the talk, be the excellence. We can't keep talking about it and not be excellent. We can't say we have integrity and not do it. So each of us, when we sign up for IABC, it's like a brand that sticks to us. And all the values and standards that IABC has stick to us already. And we should walk the talk consistently all the years. So what are the dates to remember for this year? Well, cognizant of the difficulty in budgets and the timeframes, because some programs did not push through as usual in other companies. So we extended, the committee decided that the early bird deadline would be extended up to January 8. So you have enough time to put things together. And there is a second deadline, which is on January 20. And the final deadline will be on February 1. So we tried to make it so that you could all, review your body of work and see what is workable. So we say, please join us. So for more information, there's a wealth of it, a lot of it on the website. And if you do have questions, we are open to all the kinds of questions. There is no silly question when it comes to Gold Quill, because for all you know, that little detail can make or break how you perform as an entrant. So brilliant. Please email your entries to recognition@iabc.com. All right, thanks,
Ritzi.
That's it.
They're brilliant. And it leads quite into the questions, which we've got a few, and thank you everybody for posting them up, and Sia and Michaela for answering some of the questions. So I'm going to just get to some of the questions that haven't been answered. And Ritzi, just a quick one on categories. So there's a question from Virginia that is there a category centered just for students or student chapters in the Gold Quill Awards?
Well, thank you. Yes, what is happening this year is that the students can enter any category. They can enter any category.
Terrific. Thanks, Ritzi. And while we're on categories, is there a category, and this is a question from Mandy, on how organizations have addressed issues of diversity and inclusion globally?
Yes. We have category 17, which is under Division 1, Communication Management. It's diversity and inclusion. That was one of the new categories introduced by last cycle's award committee, headed by Ed Cameron.
Brilliant.
So this year we've added the COVID, and I'd like to thank Maureen Healy for helping us put that together.
That's excellent. It just keeps expanding every year. Thanks so much, Ritzi. Patrick, I might direct the next couple of questions at you if I could. And we've got a question here from Renee, who purchased an annual pass in January 2020, the start of this year, as she was studying for the February 2020 SCMP certification exam. When does her pass expire? I guess the question is, there has been an extension or anything like that?
Yeah, generally it's 12 months, but we have had some people write to us specifically because of that, because they've COVID's hit or whatever else, or they haven't had an opportunity to use it and things like that. So I just encourage anybody in that situation just to write to me personally, and we can look at those things on a case-by-case basis. But there hasn't been any particular call on that. But there has been, but you're not the first person to come to us with that.
Brilliant. And Patrick, while we've still got you, and I'm doing this sorting questions in my head as I'm looking at the screen here, do you plan to have a mentoring scheme in plan for the academy itself?
Look, it certainly hasn't come up, but I think that's a terrific idea. I think that's a really, I think mentoring is such an important part of learning, right? And I'm a really big fan of reverse mentoring as well. I've got sort of younger people in their 20s sort of coaching me on the up and coming stuff as well. So I think that's, I think the idea of the old fashioned thing of the old person mentoring the young person is a thing of the past. I think it's a two-way street now. So I think that's a terrific idea. It's certainly one that I will take to the steering committee. Brilliant,
Virginia. Well done on the idea. I love it. Now, Sia, I'm going to flip over to you. And this is a question on a lot of people's mind, I think, and this is from Debbie Donovan. And Debbie's asking, does one keep track of the hours, or does the chapter approve the hours? So basically, she's a new chapter president, and certification is going to drive into their 2021 program. So they just want to know how to keep folks to track.
Excellent. That's a great question, Debbie, and one we do get often. So a bit of both. So it's up to the individual to keep track of their hours. And I think I mentioned earlier that we are working at the GCCC in collaboration with IABC staff to develop a certification in a box type of resource that includes templates and tools and various checklists that you can use to help you either promote certification or host an exam. One of those things is some sort of template for people to track their training hours and their ongoing professional development. So it's up to the individual to track. However, when that individual then has to make their application for renewal on their anniversary, they will need to provide documentation that verifies their attendance at various events. And so if you've done a course through the IABC Academy, no doubt you've got some sort of confirmation in your inbox. Well, there's your verification. If you have if one of your members has attended an IABC event at the local level, well, then they might put your name against that as president to say, I came to that event on that date. And you'll be able to verify that because you no doubt have a registration process. And so it's up to the individual, but then you may, as the president or as the board, be required to verify some of those events. I just want to make mention of, sorry, Adrian?
No, keep going. We've got 1 minute.
Yeah, No worries. And so some of the other things we're working on too, I think I mentioned a business case letter template for employers. We're working on a letter of recommendation template for the SCMP. So anyone on the board who wants to add that to their application as part of their pro bono, that absolutely counts. We're working on guidance for how to select potential applicants. So there's lots in the works. If there's anything you think of that you think we should add to this toolkit, please let me know, and we can add it. So I'll shush now because it's...
No. Thank you, Sia. And thanks everybody for their questions. I noticed there's some that have not been answered. And I just want to point out, Antoinetta, you had a great idea around, in case you missed it, was the SCMP and the CMP administered online, or is it only in person? So that might be just a quick answer on that one, Sia.
Yep. So right now it's just in person. We are working, it's a priority for us to administer, particularly in light of current events and what's happened this year. We are making it a priority with the virtual exams. It's not something we can just flick a switch on. It takes time, and obviously it costs money to do that as well. And we had to go for our accreditation, ISO accreditation first before we could pursue our virtual exams. But it is on our radar, so stay tuned.
Brilliant. So there's a couple of questions on that are outstanding, but I'm going to get the team at IABC maybe just to get back to those people. If we could just ask the panelists to get back to the people even in the Q&A after we finish. What I'll do is I will wrap up the session. Thank you guys. Thank you to Sia, to Patrick, to Ritzi, to bringing your wealth of knowledge in these amazing programs within IABC. And I know at a chapter level, it definitely is appreciated to have these resources that we can tap into to support our members at the local level. So on behalf of everybody on the session today, thank you three very much for all you do for IABC and your contribution and for today's presentation.
And thanks for moderating, Adrian. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, Adrian.
And thanks to everyone joining us. It has been recorded, so you will be able to get the recording after this session. So thanks again for everyone joining us.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.